Y'all ain't going to get back-to-back night of videos from me too often, but two biggest wins of the years, Memphis and now in Los Angeles against this Lakers team who is, I know the Memphis win was satisfying. It's not as fun as beating the Lakers because, let's be honest, we haven't done it over the last few years. It's just they've had our number, but this is a different look Lakers team where there are plenty of spots to attack. Let's start with big game pods. Big game pods, 28 points, 8 threes. The entire team from the start, that's what stuck out to me, was you could tell this meant more to the Warriors, as it should have, where we sit playoff positioning. Ja, the game winner in Miami right before that game. I don't know. Eric Spoelstra, we're going to get to the game, but Eric Spoelstra, how do you leave your rookie on an island with Ja Morant in his sweet spot in the middle of the floor? So that was a tough pill to swallow as Memphis wins, Minnesota wins. Now you got to beat this Lakers team. And Pods comes out and the Warriors took control early, always a nice sign on the road, especially when we typically dig these holes. And that first quarter was fun, just back and forth firepower, and then the game got mucked up. Right. And then the fouls started to build up and the game slowed down and all these commercial national TV timeouts. LeBron goes down, runs into Kaminga, feels the vibranium of Kaminga, and goes down belly first on the floor, belly down. And I'm sitting here, my daughter came and watched the game with me, and she's like, he's dramatic. He's fine. He's fine. I'm like, oh, this could be it. This could be it. He gets me every time because he's so dramatic. I'll say this, though. Kobe or Jordan would never lay belly down on the floor like that for that long. They just wouldn't want to show any sign of weakness. LeBron, though, he's been in Hollywood a while now. And so I don't know what that was, a shot to the abdomen or whatnot. He takes a seat, and they mash us inside with some size. But we were able to play smaller with no AD in there, right? Because AD, let's be honest, in the last few years, he's really been the problem. We know LeBron's going to show up against Steph, but AD basically deterring us from the basket and the paint in these prior matchups, to me, was the biggest problem. Obviously, he's not there, and Jackson Hayes looks a little different, feels a little different. Proof in point, that big dunk that Mo had that they called back where he blammed all over Austin Reeves, it was a good call. It was a fair call. I'm not going to lie to you. But just the fact that he went downhill to dunk that signifies that AD's presence wasn't on the floor. But, it slows down. LeBron gets chipped up. Austin Reeves gets going. Luka, listen, I'm obviously excited and happy about the win. Luka's a pig, man. He's such a pig. I'm sorry. I know you Laker fans, but he is the most obnoxious player in the league, and it's not even close. He had an off night. Right? They contained him pretty well. LeBron, after the spill with Kaminga, you could kind of tell he was one of those nights where, he picks his spots every night, but at least in that first half, he had no interest in getting downhill or really trying to create anything on his own. He was saving his energy for down the stretch, and the Lakers made it scary down the stretch. Again, Austin Reeves, what did he have, like 5 threes in that fourth quarter? Now, let's get to Kaminga here. That was the sharpest we've seen Kaminga post-injury. And it wasn't just, I think, first play he comes in, they leave him completely open on the perimeter. He's got 20 feet of space in front of him, gets downhill, gets to the left hand, right? And then the passing was sharp. He's just, his when to drive and when to shoot was as good as we've seen this season in his career, really. I'm not exaggerating. And the shot itself, I'm going to look at the tape, and there'll be a breakdown on Patreon in the morning. But his shot was relaxed. You could tell he squared up. He took a beat, and you can always tell, I think, with his rotation when he does take a perimeter shot. But maybe more importantly than the offense, we know when he's right, he can score. It was the other stuff. He was grabbing rebounds that only he could get, right, with his nuclear verticality. He was snatching rebounds. I don't know the box score, 6, 7, 8 of them. He rebounded better than he typically does, but the rotations to the perimeter and the discipline to stay down when he was switched on Luka, the best I've seen from Kaminga. I don't need to check the tape because as it was happening, I was just proud and excited to see that he understood the moment. And all the youngsters did. Maybe, Quentin, I thought he passed up some threes he should have taken and took some ones that he shouldn't have. And then he gets his hand caught in the cookie jar a couple times right out on the perimeter. And for him, he does this for the most part in his game, understanding that he's just a 7-footer. When he gets out to the perimeter, I don't even care if he gets a hand up. Just get there with your feet. You don't have to reach. You don't have to poke at the ball. You don't have to leave your get contest. Your frame at 7 foot, your standing height is enough of a contest, in my opinion. So get your hands out of the cookie jar, right? But Kaminga, best game he's again since the injury, and in the best spot. And it was funny because I had it in my notes for an upcoming podcast here over the weekend where it was like, hey, these next 3, Lakers, Denver, Houston, Kaminga's he's gotta show us, hey, I can be a big part of winning right now when it matters. Because the latest report from Slater was he's looking for 225, 5 years, 220. I like Kaminga. Y'all notice. I'm rooting for him. I'll pack his bags. I'll drive him to the air. 220 is crazy. But hey, it's the negotiations, and you understand he looks at Franz Wagner and some of these guys in his class, and you understand why they're going to start at that price or ask for it. But best game for Kaminga since he returns. How about the late in that fourth quarter, Draymond threw too many 50-50 balls. And thank God he made up for it. But Pods having the confidence to throw the Jimmy 50-50 ball to Kaminga in transition, and then he apexes it, comes down and gets back up and finishes it basically all in one motion and on balance. And those are the glimpses, along with some of the rebounds that he had, where you're like, okay, this is what made him so intriguing in the first place. It's the physical attributes to go along with this aggressive, competitive nature. But can you flow in game? Can you string one effort to the next? Don't complain. Don't stop and watch. Just string efforts together. And we saw that tonight from Kaminga, and he was a big part of the win. Draymond. And guys passed up shots. Some of the stuff Draymond found himself in where it was like, I thought some of our others passed up some shots they should have taken. Some of the offense got bogged down a little bit. And the Lakers did a pretty good job themselves closing out. If you noticed, they weren't leaving their feet on their closeout. So there were a couple times where our guys on the perimeter would pump, like show the ball and expecting to get a guy off his feet or get high, and then they could take the shot. And the Lakers did a pretty good job like chopping down and closing out with fundamentals. But Draymond, there was just a couple passes there. One to Moses, where Moses, he wasn't even ahead of the play. And then again, trying to get Jimmy the ball. So he ends up making up for it. Because it not just that strip at the end, but there was another crucial play there down the stretch where LeBron was getting across the lane to that left hand, bodying him up and just took it away. Right? But back to that strip, because in the Memphis game, we saw it with Anja, where it was a Jimmy Draymond combo defensive play at the basket. But this time it was Jimmy riding Luka's body, discipline, just funneled him to Draymond. And that's just the stuff you can't teach. Because I think it's Finney Smith or somebody is cutting across the baseline to pull Draymond out of the play. And Draymond stops right at the right moment for the angle. Game time, right? But that was hairy there at the end, man, with Reeves. What the hell? Reeves is, you want to talk about farm boy strong? There was a possession that I didn't love where it was like an 11-0 run, 11-1 run there in the fourth quarter. Kerr hits a timeout, and we get 2 possessions on it after a rebound or something out of bounds, and Steph doesn't touch the ball. Didn't love that. But one of those possessions around that time period, Draymond ends up with the ball on Reeves on the block, and Reeves like stood him up. Like, the dude is freakishly strong. You see the shooting. You see he's clearly a legit third option, probably a second option on a lot of other teams. But you shut Luka off, who, I keep hearing this, he's in shape. That's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a dude that's growing a little shadow to try to have a jawline. But anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone. I know he's gonna kill us at some point in the playoffs, and I'll end up regretting talking my shit. But Jimmy. Is Jimmy hurt? Edie comes down on that foot ankle the other night in Memphis, and He just, listen, I know he made some plays there, especially at the end. His claws ripping that away at that final chaotic possession. Got to the line. You love to see that at the end when it was like, all right, I think it was a 7-point game. Come out. It's like, all right, let's not play around here. Steph had a couple turnovers. Ironically, I've been begging Steph to bounce pass out of that split, out of the traps his entire career. And he was trying to do it tonight. And you could see maybe why he doesn't do it. He kind of skipped the ball a couple times. We had a couple turnovers. And so Jimmy gets to the line there when we need it, right? Hit a 3 in LeBron's face. Like he's always going to have these clutch moments. But I'm kind of tired of hearing about how unselfish Jimmy is offensively, because at a certain point, it's actually selfish to not try to score and shoot at times here. I get generally he is a unselfish player, sets screens, cuts, does all the little things. Absolutely. But there are moments for this team where it's like, Jimmy, actually, no, we need you to be more aggressive. And I thought we would see more of that in this moment. And I also think he had an extended rest because usually he closed that third quarter, but maybe just because Kaminga was playing so well, they bought Jimmy more time in that end of third, early fourth quarter because JK was playing so well. But yeah, Jimmy, he had his moments, but I'm just a little wary. I don't know if he's pacing himself or he's chipped up, but his presence was felt regardless, and the Warriors get the win. Now, Denver at home tonight. See, I'm all scrambled here. What are we, Thursday night? Denver Friday night in San Francisco. Jokic is rested. Did y'all see that double overtime game against the Wolves? We can't catch a break. Ja tonight, Russ the other night with the Wolves, smokes the, so it's funny though to see, because you see this when this happens, when there is a sprint to the finish for the playoffs, all of a sudden, all the teams that it really matters to seem to win all these games. It's like when these teams really want it more than the other teams, sometimes even the talent doesn't matter. But getting to this game tomorrow night, you saw Steph, he got bumped on the baseline and went down and cringed that back. And it's a reminder of how fragile all this is. If one bad fall to the floor, obviously he shook it off and carried us offensively. But I say all that to say, rest the vets tomorrow against Denver, kind of punt on this one, as crazy as it may sound with the standings. But then let's say you rest Draymond, Jimmy, and Steph. So then you give them Friday and Saturday off for this big game against Houston Sunday at home. Let them kind of recharge the battery after this 13-day road trip. I'd hope that'd be the plan. I'm not holding my breath. I understand the time of the year and the mentality and, Adam Silver fines and all that. But, I think most of y'all could agree with me that would be the logical way to play this matchup tomorrow against Denver, and circle Houston as the one you get. If you can go 2-1 in this 3-game stretch coming out of this road trip, I think it sets us up pretty good down the stretch here to stay out of this play-in. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.